All right, everybody. We got another very special guest for you all this week. I want everyone to welcome to the show Barney Smith. Welcome, Barney.
Hey, how's it going? How am I sounding? Do I sound okay? Am I coming into the mic?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
you
sound
sound
great.
Right. All
fantastic,
right.
Barney. Fantastic.
You know
Yeah.
what's one of the sometimes depending on it. That sometimes there's nothing worse because as we mentioned before we went live is that before we started recording that I do a podcast myself, and there's been a couple times where I ended up recording off of my mic off of my
Oh yeah.
webcam.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then, so the guest sounded completely fine, but then I was like, "Well, so welcome to the social," and I like,
Yeah.
man, that is just, what can
That
you do when that happens? That's
that
like,
that happens. That happens to us too. So it's not just you. I mean, Chris and I all the time will be like, dude, you sound like you're in a tin can. I think you're using the wrong mic. Yeah, because it always picks it up. So we still have technical difficulties too. So it's
right,
all good. No, but you
yeah,
sound
'cause-
great.
yeah,
You sound great.
perfect. Well, thank you.
You
Yeah,
look
and I
great.
put in my daddish is shirt that I could find
Yeah,
for
we
the
appreciate that.
podcast. Yeah,
Yeah,
be on here. So yeah,
because we
Yeah,
are
we
talking
expect to be
dad
entertained
jokes.
with some dad jokes.
Yeah, so
yeah.
we're
See,
talking dadder jokes today, everybody. It's a Kickstarter that's out right now. We're gonna get to that in a second because we need to hear some of these jokes. I hope. Are you wearing the white New Balances too? We probably can't see that.
oh,
You
even
gotta rock
better.
those, yeah.
I'm wearing white socks with Crocs. See,
Oh
that's
my
even.
god,
Oh.
Yeah,
that's
see, yeah.
that's too
I
much
actually had.
damage.
You got in character for this book then.
See, I did. I went. It was for. I was actually going. I remember it was Father's Day, and I remember going when I was at Father's Day. The thing I love about Father's Day is just going to the hardware store and just like being by myself and just buying, like things that I
Yeah.
think I can fix.
Yeah, right.
And I remember somebody said, "Oh, by the way, Happy Father's Day." I'm like, "How did you know I was a dad?" And she said, "You got white socks with Crocs on." I'm like, "Okay, fair play."
You're wearing the uniform.
I was wearing the dad uniform.
The
Yes,
dad
yeah.
uniform. That's all. Yeah, they can spot you down the street, dude. Come on.
Exactly.
It's built for comfort, all right?
I know. It's like, there's a lot to be said based off of the footwear you wear, and it's like when you put on Crocs on, you're basically saying to the world, hope I don't get chased today. Like, I mean, it's just like,
yeah, you're too comfortable with your surroundings that you don't think you're going to have to run for any reason.
Yeah, you don't have to run at someone or with someone at that point when you're wearing Crocs. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
It makes me wonder what I'm telling the world as a guy in his mid-30s who still wears skate shoes every day.
One day you'll get back. It's like the hopeful. I'll get back to it one day.
Yeah.
My knees don't hurt too bad yet. Well, Barney, man, thanks for being here. And I'm sorry we got to put you through this because it is your first time in the show. Where did it all start for you as far as like the origin story for writing, making projects, things like that?
Right.
Because where did that all start for you?
So I'll give you the abbreviated version that kind of sums up my last 25 years. So
Okay.
If you're ever doing this, yeah. So if when you do this, if you do this in editing, like if you just like add like a timer or something on the bottom,
that'd be great. Yeah,
just stop in the middle and I'll put the SpongeBob meme.
Yeah,
3 hours later.
7 hours later. Yes, fantastic.
So I graduated from art school in 1998, and I did what anybody smart enough to do when you graduate art school unless you wanted to be a millionaire, because 1998 everybody became a millionaire if they just made a website.
Right.
That was the famed internet bubble where you had pets.com. Everybody just made a .com thing and thinking this is it, we're good.
Yep.
And so what I did is I did what just what any art student who graduated with an art degree did in 1998. Obviously, join the Peace Corps. So that's what I did. So I joined the Peace Corps, and then I ended up. I ended up going to Niger, West Africa. It's a French-speaking country, and it was. And the bar was so low because they couldn't find anyone to join the Peace Corps. They basically said, so do you speak French? I'm like, I took 2 years in high school. They didn't test me or anything. They said, okay,
So
that's
no,
good.
you don't speak.
Yeah, I don't speak French at all. And they said, do you have any medical background? I'm like, yeah. My aunt is a nurse. I'm like, okay, that's good. So they literally, it was like the bar was so low. Like, it was amazing.
I used
And
peroxide on a cut once.
yeah.
My best friend's sister once put a bandage on me. Does that count? Yeah,
Yeah.
you're good. You're good. You're good.
Yeah. Come on.
Or your uncle cousin's brother's roommate. Yeah, exactly. I ended up, so I wasn't up in the Peace Corps, and I was there for 2 years, and usually the run is about 2 years. But by 2 years, I ended up speaking the local language at that point. I understand the culture, and like I was like, why would I want to leave at this point? I mean, it's basically I'm sitting here. This is a good time. I'm living in a mud hut in the middle of the African bush. I'm pulling water out of a well. I'm living like nowadays. This is considered like luxury, like YouTube video stuff of like, wow, living off the grid.
Yeah.
I'd have 100,000 YouTube subscribers if I actually recorded my adventures there.
Yeah.
A pit latrine, all that kind of stuff. And so I was there for about 4 years, and then I still really liked the work that I was doing that. So I came back home and I got my master's degree in international education, and still had the bug of going overseas. So then I did an emergency relief work. So I worked for Doctors Without Borders and other international relief organizations like that. So chronologically speaking, I was in Pakistan after the earthquake. I was for a year. Then I was in the Philippines for about a year doing typhoon relief work. Then I was in South Sudan working during their independence push to become be an independent country from Sudan. And then I was in Zimbabwe during the cholera outbreak. I was there for about a year. And then I was in Uganda working at an HIV clinic in rural Uganda. And then after that, I was in Libya during the revolution, repairing ambulances and getting shot at. And then after that, I went to Nigeria, and I was in Lagos at an urban maternity healthcare clinic. And so I was there for about a year. So that's where I met my wife. And
what I just learned is I'm a piece of shit.
Barney, man, this is awesome.
I once drove down the street and helped the guy with his mail. I don't know.
I'm just so captivated right now. I forgot we were even interviewing you. I'm just like, it's like I'm watching. I think I'm like watching a documentary about Barney. This is amazing. I'm sorry. Keep going. You met your wife.
So I ended up. So yeah, So I ended up. So I met my wife. And then I met my future wife there, and so we always laugh at this whole idea of like like the 90-day fiance show. People like 90-day fiance, and people like that's so fake. That's bull. That's no way. Here's the thing. I met my wife. We dated for a month before we got married. So it's the same generic story 100 people have heard before. It's that the slightly overweight Vermont cartoonist marries Nigerian runway model. I mean, everybody's heard the story a million times.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing. Like, I can only pretend to be cool for like a month, and then it blows. Like I married up.
Yeah.
Like I made sure that she thought, like I was it. And then fast forward, we've been married now for 11 years. We have 3 kids.
Congrats.
And we are literally living the 90s, the 90s sitcom where it was like the weird, goofy husband marries a beautiful woman, and be like, yeah, that's all Hollywood. Like we're the living embodiment. My mother-in-law lives with us. I literally live in a sitcom. It's amazing. Like I get, it's like, yeah. So
the Goldbergs
I have the
or something. It's like the Goldbergs.
I know. I got the Nigerian mother-in-law living with us. I got the 3 kids.
See, this is the difference between Mike and me. Is I was gonna go with Everybody Loves Raymond.
Oh, true. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Yep. Wow.
Well, yeah, but the piece. I kind of have a like sidebar. I really believe I have a working theory that if it's the opposite gendered in-law, there's no competition. So say for instance, if it's like my mother moved in, there'll probably be issues with my wife and my mother.
Oh yeah.
If my father-in-law moved in and he died a long time ago, which is, no, I'm kidding. I never met the guy. I no one's watching this. It's gonna know who he is at any point.
Nobody watches the YouTube version.
yeah.
Don't worry about it. Nobody watches.
Nobody from Lagos is going to be watching the show. I hope not.
I'm promoting this in that
Yeah.
place.
Yeah. No, we're good. We're good.
So, and I think that would be an issue if my father-in-law moved in, but because it's, say for instance, if it was my father moved in, there'd be no issues because it's not like there's opposing issues between my wife and my father.
Right.
Same thing. It's like, it's my mother-in-law moving in. There's no clash of cultures happening between, like saying,
Right.
like, well, this is what we did. Like, so
Right.
that's,
Right.
so it's super easy because basically it just feels like we just have like a third parent here, and multi-generational homes by far are some of the best things you can ever do in human society as well. And side note on that is that it really isn't since like the past 80 years. If you think about it, for the last 20,000 years, we've always had multi-generational homes. Your grandparents, my grandparents, when they were kids, had their grandparents living in their home with them. So it's only something that's recent that it actually popped up with like the post-World War II generation, where they decided to live on their own and say, we're not going to live with our, whether it be like a lot of people give it the to the credit of like the advent of Social Security, for instance. It's like allowing the oldest generation to live more independently longer is good. But to the detriment of that, what we've seen pop up because of that is the advent of nursing homes, the advent of childcare facilities, all these things that actually popped up because of the fact that homes aren't multi-generational anymore. So that's a piece of it. So basically we got our three kids, and that's kind of popped up with the idea of actually doing the dad joke book that I did. So as I mentioned, I'm a cartoonist by trade, not a cartoonist by career, because I have three kids I have to feed. So I'm not a career cartoonist. It was the year, take a journey with me for a second to the year 2020. So 2020 was a pretty raw time here in the United States. Worldwide, be careful, as also well. But here in the United States, we were dealing with COVID-19. We had an election season. And we also had the George Floyd murder, and we had the Asian hate that was happening as well. So there's a lot of things that was happening in the United States during 2020. And we always mention the fact that here, like even in 2023, we talk about how social media, man, what a cesspool, man. Everybody, there's all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. But at least in 2023, if you see somebody, you can curate your social media feed way easier than you could 3 years ago. In the year 2020, like in the year 2023, if somebody says, says something that is divisive or something that is like you completely oppose, or like, if I'm blocking that person, boom, one button, boom, never have to see him again. It's fine. In the year 2020, more feeds were defaulted to public feeds. There was more things where you ended up having to like try to block somebody, had to right click on their name, and window pop was like, have you talked to them first? I'm like, what do you know? I don't even know who this person is. I'm not you try to, the only button was to report, I don't want to report this person. I just don't want to see
I just don't want to see it
social
anymore.
media feed anymore. So what I did is I wanted to make sure that at least my neck of the woods was just kind of like safe and and accommodating. So what I did is that and accessible to everyone. So what I did is that before that, every few weeks I'd post a dad joke or two, but I said, you know what, I'm just posting a dad joke every single day. I'm doing one. And of course the low hanging fruit, I was able to really grab a hold of, like the low hanging fruit, like, you should always knock on the fridge before opening it, just in case there's a salad dressing. Like those are just easy to find. Like, I just watched a program about beavers. It was the best dam program I've ever seen. Dam, DAM. It's
the salad dressing one is so smart. It's awesome.
10 times out of 9, you'll find me exaggerating about something. I ordered a chicken and an egg from Amazon. I'll let you know. Like these are the ones that are like, these are the easy, you can pull these up. These are the ones you can just find on the internet. You just put them.
Yeah.
Yesterday, a clown held the door open for me. It was such a nice gesture.
Wow.
It was, see?
Wow. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. So, if somebody's hotter than you, that just means you're cooler than them. So that one was just a good play on words.
I like that one.
Yeah. So these are the ones that were easy just to pick right there. But I noticed now I've been doing it for almost 4 years that every single day I've searched, curated, and invented jokes that I posted every day online on my feed. And what's really fun about this is that it's so a couple of things about this book, that my first book, Dad Jokes. And then, of course, as you can see, I have a green screen because my book is see-through here.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
No, you know my secrets. No, this is real.
It's a real bookshelf, people. Just believe it.
I'm so prepared. So so the first thing is, like, the book itself is full color. I've yet to find a joke book that actually is not just black and white. Like there's it's a full color joke, because I'm a cartoonist by trade. I've also been able to color. So because, as I mentioned before, that I have my 9 and 6-year-old are girls. So I have 2 daughters. We firmly believe there's no such thing as gender specific chores in the house.
Yeah.
So I, for instance, have, and every page actually has some kind of illustration on it, like a lawnmower, and then I do the laundry, so I have a washing machine on here.
Yep.
Everything that you'd see somebody's dad doing, a baseball, basketball hoop.
Yep.
Everything here is modeled around the concept of a potential place that you would find a dad doing something, so like a chainsaw and a rake, so
there you go.
And the washing dishes, and then there's a farmer, like corn. So that's the first thing about this book that's different. It's full color. The second thing about this book, as I mentioned, is that there is, invariably speaking, you're gonna buy a joke book, and it's gonna have something maybe misogynistic in there, something racist, something that is detrimental or derogatory towards somebody's mental, intellectual, or physical capacities, or just insult an entire culture of people altogether. For me, I firmly believe that jokes should be inclusive, not exclusive. Jokes should not be a form of bullying. Jokes should be a form of bringing people together, not creating a culture of other. It should always be a unifying factor, because there's nothing better than actually like laughing with people and not laughing at people. Laughing at people is not nice. And so that's the one thing I'm really proud of about this book, that it's 100% safe for anyone to read. And here's the thing. What I love about joke books, jokes are the best gifts to give people. And when you buy a joke book, unless you've read every one of those jokes in there, chances are there's going to be something in there that's going to be either offensive or mildly offensive, or just not funny because it's kind of mean. And when you buy, so there's 2 types of gifts that you give. You either give a gift to somebody that you either give a gift to somebody that you think they're going to like, or you're giving a gift to someone that actually like reflects your own values. So for instance, a grandparent might give a savings bond to a 10-year-old.
Right.
If you're a 10-year-old, you're like, thanks. Like,
what is okay?
Whatever. Okay. Kind of wanted a transformer, but
right.
But those are the 2 types of gifts. What I love about this book, and then the Dadder joke book that we're going to be talking about, is that it is, invariably speaking, if you buy a joke book that actually has something that's offensive in there, you're either saying, you're inadvertently saying 2 things. You find derogatory humor funny, or I find derogatory humor funny. So that's what you want to make sure is that when you're doing this, but when you give this book, it's completely safe, and there's nothing in there that is offensive. My brother works at a stone quarry. He hangs around with other men's. Like he has a metal metal lunchbox with a thermos, and he sits
Yep.
down on the side of the wall, and his buddy's like, bring that, bust out that book your brother made. That's some funny stuff. And then so he'll read a few passages.
That's awesome.
I got a 6-year-old that goes to the first grade. She has the book in her backpack.
That's
for
amazing.
reading time.
That's
That's
awesome.
so cool.
The teacher said, "What is this?" And she took it away for her, and she read it, and she started laughing in the middle of reading time. And then she goes, "This is fine." She just gave it back to him. It's fine. My mother is a minister at church, and she keeps the book at church. So that's what I'm saying is like the book itself is. I mean, granted, some of these jokes my mother's not going to get, like. The cast of Friends got stuck in sea in a boat, but thankfully nothing happened because Lisa Kudrow.
Wow.
So,
wow.
see, like she's not gonna get that one. But you know, the reopening of Lego World was a big deal. People were lined up for blocks. Like none of that is, like some of those jokes my mother's not gonna get, but some of those jokes are just. But they're safe jokes, you know, they're safe jokes.
It's almost, I mean, it's like an all ages, like we have all ages comics, right? It's like an all ages joke book.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's like to bring it back to like something that I would know of, but like that's, and the jokes that I mean, some of those you've come up with yourself. Are there any that you're very proud of? You're like, wow, this was like, this is the one.
What's really funny is like I mentioned before, about 5% of the jokes I actually invented myself. It doesn't mean I'm not smart or anything. It's just when let's play on puns. Puns and wordplay is not rocket science. It's just like
it's just fun.
I just rhymed. You know, I just said a typo walks into a bat. Like I mean, that's not. I mean, it's like, it's you know something along those lines is like, see, that's a thinker. See, Chris, you got that. A typo walks into a bat. See, it's,
he's thinking.
Yeah.
I'm
gonna be honest with you. I don't get it.
Walks into a bar. It's a typo.
Walks
into a bat. I actually saw that one on the Kickstarter page, and I thought about it for 10 minutes today. So that's why I knew it ahead of time. I would have been lost too, Chris. Don't worry.
That's one of those ones. If you didn't say anything, we would have finished this interview. I would have been driving because I have my fantasy football draft later. I've been driving to that later, and I'll be like, "Oh, that's really funny."
I get it.
There's this one, and it's so funny because this one joke I invented, I've actually seen it out in the wild a couple times since then. It was back in 2019. It was one of the first jokes I was just posting every couple of weeks, and I was driving my kid out to school, and I live in Vermont here, and which is right next door to you all. We share a lake, so it's a Lake Champlain. See, you got it right next door to you in your state, and the and so Vermont's rural enough where there's deer, but it's common enough to see deer, but it's uncommon enough. It's rare enough we'd actually comment on it, like, "Oh, that was close, saw deer." And I was dropping off my kiddo to school, and we saw a deer jump over the snowbank and jump over across the road and head off. And so that was cool. And I said, "Oh, did you see the deer?" And I showed my daughter, and she's like, "What?" I'm like, "There's a deer." "Oh, okay." And we came back home, and I mentioned before, like, my wife is Nigerian, and I said, "So hey, I saw a deer on the way to school today." And she looked at me and she goes, "How do you know it was going to school?" And I looked at her like, that is really funny. So like, I tweaked it and I sent it out and I put it out as one of my daily dad joke posts.
Yeah.
And I've seen it pop up in the wild a couple of times, and I beam with pride knowing that I gave something to the world, and that's like amazing. That joke. Yeah.
You're like, I don't know how I knew it was going to school. I have no idea.
I don't know. Awesome. And it's kind of reminiscent of there's a Groucho Marx joke that said, "This morning I shot an elephant in my pajamas. How I got in my pajamas, I'll never know." Like, it's like an old Groucho Marx joke. And so that's the cool thing too, is like there's about 5% of the jokes. So there's over 500 jokes in here. So 10 of them, I guess that's 5%, are brand new, never been published before until there. And the other ones, I say they're all of them are curated or tweaked to make sure they fit for like an all ages. But like you say, it's an all ages book. It's not a kid's book. It's an all ages book in the sense. The same thing as like there's adult humor in there that kids just aren't going to get. But it's not adult humor as in it's like kind of racy. It's like almost like it's like a Disney movie now where you watch like a Pixar movie or something where it's just like where the adults are laughing at a moment and then the kids just it glazes right over. Like the Barbie movie was full of adult humor.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Full of adult humor.
That. Yep.
Yeah. And the fourth thing about this book that is really interesting is that I love old time radio. I love listening to and you can stream all this online too. There's all these old time radio programs of like the Jack Benny program, George Burns and Gracie Allen, Charlie McCarthy. Some of these jokes there's some of that the humor they threw out there is amazing, but have been completely forgotten. So I've been able to pull out some of those jokes and kind of brush them off and put them for a modern audience. A good example was there was an old Charlie McCarthy joke that I tweaked for so self-depreciating humor is always good because you can make fun of yourself.
Right.
People aren't laughing at you, they're laughing with you because you're the one that brought it up. A lot of good comedians, although a lot of the comedians that actually are not the ones that actually geared towards telling dirty jokes. Like I'm thinking about the Jim Gaffikins and the Nate. There's a Nate. I can never say his last name right. Nate.
I always liked, you're bringing up comedians. I always liked Mitch Hedberg because
Hedberg was hilarious.
His humor was just so dry. And it was so like matter of fact, like I don't understand this, and then he would just talk about it. Like his big one is like, I used to do drugs, I still do, but I used to too, like stupid stuff like that, like just the wordplay, and it was like the way he delivered it, and it was like it wasn't offending anybody, it wasn't like mean, but
that
matter of
like
fact
the one
stuff.
He says something about that. I was watching an infomercial one day. He says, "Forget everything you know about pillow covers." It's like, so I did.
So I did. That's the one. Yeah, forget everything you know about this. So I did.
It's like
it's really good. Yeah.
And he had what was that? Wasn't one where it's just like he doesn't hate when he sees like a sign that says and an escalator says sorry out of order. It should say sorry stairs.
Sorry
just
stairs. Yeah.
They just became stairs now.
Yeah, these like escalators don't break, that they just become stairs or something like that. It's like this dude's just walking around, the world, like looking at it at such a like a matter of fact, like simple take, and it's hilarious. But
I know, I love that. There was that old Charlie McCarthy joke that I tweaked. It was it said I told my wife that in my 20s I was unbelievably handsome, and she says, "You're right, I don't believe it." So that was like
yeah, there you go. That's awesome. That's amazing. So you had Dad Jokes come out, and it's available now, right? It's still available.
It is.
Yeah,
it's still available. It's on Amazon, but I always highly recommend people to get it through the Kickstarter because it's cheaper through the Kickstarter.
Okay.
And I completely messed up because it was like you guys. I have a podcast. I've interviewed a lot of people that have Kickstarters, so I actually learned a lot on how to do that. So the cool part about it is that I never put the shipping in on the pack to buy the dad jokes and the dadder jokes. So you would actually ended up getting that for those that want to. You can get that for both of them for like $30, and that's over 1,000 jokes on there, fully colored, and free shipping by accident on my side. So
wow.
So definitely it's you can buy it through Amazon, but I think it's listed for more expensive than that, plus the shipping piece. And what's really interesting is that doing this, we're fully funded. So the book's coming out. So that's the cool thing. That's fully funded. And we're looking at, we're now on the stretch goals section of it. So if we hit 1,000, I'm going to add on another 100 jokes to make it. I basically add another 20 pages to it. And if you look at, oh, cool. I got somebody else too. See, we're so close to 1,000 already.
Yeah.
Luckily, all the fans at Fortress Comics are going to back this because I've heard great things about the listenership and the viewership of Fortress Comics. That every single viewer ends up backing projects that are featured on this. So
we'd hope. I think we have like 15,000 subscribers, so that would be awesome. But,
I mean, this new one has ingenious jokes like Spock actually has 3 ears: the left ear, the right ear, and the final front ear.
Oh my god!
I mean,
that's amazing. Star Trek jokes. Star Trek jokes, folks. Amazing.
Yep. So you can't get that. See, that's rich right there. You're never gonna find. You're nowhere else are you gonna find a joke about Star Wars, Star Trek, and Friends.
And one book.
Deer all in one. See,
there we go. There's the tiers right there. So at the Dadder Jokes campaign, folks, you get dad jokes and dadder jokes for $30 physical copies. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What I love, or if you're a digital reader, Mike.
Yep.
$10.
Yes, I am. Yeah, $10 for the PDFs. So
what I liked about the campaign is you have variant covers, which is important for any Kickstarter.
Right.
But you didn't price up the variants. You just made them the same price and said pick your favorite cover.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I did that. And then some other people are asking. So this is basically the other books that I did. Mm-hmm. So the 2 years was about my time in the Peace Corps. So I made it basically take place on Mars and made it a satire. It's kind of like my Catch-22 version. It's like my Joseph Heller version of as a comic book. Then Relief is my sequel to that, where it's about my time working for like Doctors Without Borders and stuff. But it takes place on Mars as well, so it is. And then I mentioned too, Lion and Dove, which is the romantic comedy. It's basically, it feels like if you take like if animals live, if there was almost, I guess, a cross between a 90s sitcom and BoJack Horseman way, because they're animals in that world.
Yeah. True.
And that's so fun to do. And there's always more stories coming out with that one too. So so somebody asked me, hey, can I get what about your other stuff? So that's basically a fire sale. Cause if you look at that for $15, you can get all 5. That's over 630 pages. I have them all right here. There's over 630 pages of graphic novel right there for $15. So that could very well, Mike and Chris, be the best deal on the internet right now. So that's as an add-on.
Yeah.
It's one hell of a deal.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And all these add-ons that we talked about on there, also those are the add-ons on there. And I also put an add-on too. I don't know if you went past it or not, is the bookmarks. Did you do the bookmarks yet? Is that no? I think it's further down, right? Is it the bookmarks?
No, I didn't see the
there you go.
There we go.
Oh, these bookmarks, man! I tell you, if I didn't make them, I'd definitely buy them. So how's that for a sales tactic?
I love it.
So these bookmarks are actually, there's 16 of them so far, and they almost look like church or like bookmarks with maybe a Bible verse in it. But if you look at it close, those are all dad jokes on bookmarks that are themed on. There's ones about cats. There's ones about. So what's that one there? When the I'm gonna look at that one. That one's super funny. The one with the spruce tree. I actually put that on there.
What's a pine tree's favorite singer? Spruce Springsteen.
I love it. That's amazing.
See, it's like a spruce tree in there too.
I love it.
See, and you got the palm tree. So all of those jokes, like those are all, what do you call a pile of cats? A meowton. What's a cat's favorite condiment? Mayo. Like though meow. I think it's mayo. Yeah. So see, all those I kind of added on with images and stuff to make it just kind of like stick out a bit. But yeah, it's been so fun doing those things.
Yeah, it's got to be. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So you will. So to be very clear to all your listeners, you will win the gift giving season when you buy these books, because there's nothing more fun, especially when you throw in the bookmarks with them. There's
this one right here. I just know so many people that would use it. Why did the tree need to take a nap for rest? I know so many people that would love that.
Yeah.
That's a great idea to go along with the book. I mean, you hear a lot about add-ons and stretch goals and things that people do. and sometimes they make sense, sometimes they're very basic, sometimes it's just a sticker, and a lot of times it is bookmarks, but it's just like a bookmark of the comic that you're getting. And this really fits in with it and is something unique. This is an amazing idea. I love this.
Yeah. These what's a cat's favorite condiment? Mayo. I like the one too. A tree's first winter must be terrifying. Imagine the relief they feel in spring. That was like pretty deep. You think about it, you're like, wow, yeah, they don't know if they're coming back, right? That's amazing. Yeah.
But if you'll notice, it's the relief. It should be like the relief, as in it's reliefing.
Right.
Like there's
the
more
relief.
coming back.
Yeah. RELEAF. Everybody. Yeah. Wow. That one might be my favorite.
And then you were talking about stretch goals. So you got stretch goals right here.
We're almost at $1,000, so 100 more jokes.
I'm sure we'll get that one. Yeah, we got 10 days left. There's no way we're not going to hit 1,000. I'm pretty we'll hit that.
Now,
what I'm really hoping for is like the deluxe dadder joke. So here's the thing.
Yeah, what's
the
that?
Deluxe dadder jokes. So I've done a lot of research on dad jokes. I mean, obviously, and like I said, as an academic by passion as well, I love learning and researching things. I'm the kind of person, if you look at my podcast feed, it's all indie comic folks, and shows, and then it's also all these history shows, like random history stuff. I love that stuff. And so the origin of the dad joke, the first time the dad joke was ever mentioned was 1987. It was in an op-ed piece in the Gettysburg Gazette. It was an op-ed piece. It was mentioned in 1987. It says, something about like, give credit to the dad joke or something like that. And I want to recall back in 1987 was, if you look at it from a generational perspective, you had the greatest generation. That was the World War II generation that fought in World War II. They gave birth to the baby boomers. And the baby boomer generation ends in around 1966, 67 or so. So you think about what happened in 1987 is when the Gen Xers, the first Gen Xers, are starting to reach the age of parenthood. They're in their 20s now. They're starting to turn 20. And at that point is when also culturally speaking, the role of the father has changed. Mid to early 80s to the 70s to the 60s, all that point, the role of the father was someone who was a stern disciplinarian or the one that had the wisdom. They had no personality other than that. You think about all the TV shows before that. If there was any comedic role of a male, they were either single or they were the uncle. They were never actually the father. The father was always the anchor in the family. Even in the sitcoms, when you think about Happy Days, if you think about any like Family Ties, all these things, the dads were not goofy. If they were, goofy things happened to them, but they were not made to be like goofy, to like, hey, I'm being funny here. The role of the father was never funny. The role of the father was at the end of the episode, they imparted the wisdom and they're like, oh, thanks, Dad. He's like, you're welcome. Now let's go make sure, mow the lawn.
Yeah.
Billy, like it was like, it's
right.
So the role of the father was always someone who was just always the source of wisdom. But it wasn't until the mid to late 80s when you started seeing the Gen Xers starting to reach adulthood. And is the fact that also too, the reason why I'm specifically being the Gen Xers is because every generation that comes before it it was raised by the generation before, obviously. So what that means is that the things they wish they had when they were a child, they want to impart onto their children as well. My father, he's 70. He turned 70 this year, and he basically said we just learned a few years ago they had a train set that he never played with. Like, because he was an adult, he kept, but he never opened up and played with it. And he always said, he goes, well, you had 4 boys. I was going to get broken, so I kept it safe. But I believe it was because there's almost a sense of shame for their earlier baby boomers to actually play with toys they had when they were kids. Like, that's not what adults do.
No.
And there's something that happened with the Gen Xers is that they kind of wanted to impart some of that into their offspring. So now the Gen Xers had a little bit more freedom to stay young longer or be more proud of being able to enjoy the things of their childhood longer.
Mhm.
And when I was a kid, talking about comic books, I remember going to the comic book shop in the mid 80s. Men in their 40s would go to the comic book shop. And here's something a lot of people don't remember is that they gave you your comic books in a brown paper bag because there was a sense of shame about.
Right.
So these guys would show up and would get comic books and put them in a brown paper bag and then
Right.
and then walk out of the store.
Yeah.
And they didn't want anyone to see that they bought comic books. And so that was a big thing that happened. And so, but in the mid to late 80s is when you started seeing shows like Full House showed up, where
Mhm.
Danny Tanner he was the dad, so he wasn't the funny guy, but you had father figure adjacent folks like Uncle Jesse and Joey who are there, who could be funny, who are free to be funny. And Danny Tanner was like, he liked everything clean and stuff. Funny things happened to him, but he wasn't goofy for the
Right.
sake of being funny.
Right.
Bill Cosby was a comedian at the time who actually had his own really popular show, but he was a comedian, but he was still, his character, Cliff Huxtable, had this wisdom sense to him, where there was still a sense of wisdom that he imparted.
Mhm.
But there were cracks in it where he was able to be funny sometimes. And it wasn't until you get into, and then Family Matters came out in the late 80s and it was on in the early 90s, where the father was very strict in the first couple seasons. He was the brunt of jokes, but he was never the jokester. But when it get
Right.
full on till season 7, 8, and 9, he was funny. And that the reason why for that is because also what happened in the early 90s, 91, 92, all the way up to the late 90s was Home Improvement. Home Improvement was a show where you just had a straight on goofy dad, straight on
That's
full
true.
on
Yeah.
goofy.
Great
And
show.
Yeah. Amazing show.
and so when I think about all the things that we all talk about in pop culture now, all the things that are famous, if you look at, and I as a societal like family tree of what the root of it all was, this is my working theory. It all comes down to shattering the perception of what a father figure has to be in a
Mhm.
nuclear family. And that is someone who's being stern and someone that's being the one that imparts the wisdom. When you smash the patriarchal perceptions of what a father has to be,
Mhm.
then in allowing the dad to be goofy, and the role of a dad joke is an offspring of that sense of that wise thing. Because in order to tell a dad joke, there is a sense of wit, there is a sense of playing on words, there is a sense of wisdom to it,
Right.
and allowing that father to do that, or on the father figure to do that, then allowed the father to have a personality in the
Mhm.
family,
Right.
allow the father to have a personality, and because of that, then you're allowed to have the flexibility of the mother figure, the matriarch of the family, to be a breadwinner, to
Mhm.
actually be this and take on different roles as well, and allows that. Because if you think about early on, like it was a shtick for the movie, the Michael Keaton movie Mr. Mom, is like, that's
Yeah.
weird. A dad
Yeah.
being
Right.
at home. Like
Right.
that
Right.
was like the whole theme of the movie. But
Yeah.
at the end of the movie, what happened was everything came out right again, because the mom moved back and became the mom again because she didn't like working there. She didn't
Right.
like working there, and the dad got to go back to work. Like there was
Right.
still that movie came out in 85.
Yep.
So that's what I firmly believe is, like, we can trace back the idea of the unabashed pride of grabbing a hold of your hobbies and passions and not feeling as though society is pressuring you into to take on this stereotypical role of what an adult needs to be.
Mhm.
I don't see paper bags anymore when you go to the comic book shop. They actually have printed names of the
Free
comic book
comic
shop
book
you
day
came from in there.
bags. Yeah.
We see guys in their 40s and 50s of, like, now this Gen X, they're like now full on into middle age now,
Yeah.
playing Dungeons and Dragons, like in public, like in coffee
Yeah.
shops.
Right.
Like
Right.
we're
Yeah.
seeing them host D&D nights at the local library.
Right.
We see people like happily playing Magic the Gathering or playing
Mhm.
Pokemon. We see everybody proudly holding on to their nerd culture and saying, you know what, I'm proud of the things I love, and I'm not ashamed of it. And I really believe it comes down to that source of that 1987 beginning of that shift of the first term being used, dad joke, was able to take that term and do that. So it's and as you can see, there's a passion behind the academic and like the history behind what a dad joke is.
Mhm.
And I can say is like, if you can kind of give credit to the Gen X generation for actually like creating this unabashed pride of publicly acknowledging nerd culture, and the idea of the fact that the role of any parent does not necessitate gender, is part and parcel to that as well. And what I love about it, as I say, I got 3 kids. The role of the dad joke that I truly find fun, amazing about it, is that teaching my children it's okay to be embarrassing. It's
Mhm.
okay to be embarrassed. It's okay to make mistakes. And they're at that age there where I still haven't embarrassed them much in public, other than the fact where
Yet.
like I still like kid level jokes that still like, no dad, like I would like if they're like talking to their kids or like going or like I see them at the bus stop, I'll stop by and roll down the window. It's like, hey, I'm going to the booger store. Did you need anything? And they're like, no, dad. All right. So it's like, but
That's
that's
awesome.
the kind of stuff that is, I think it's like the imparting is like that piece of what a dad joke is. So
Yeah, it's okay to be that way. Yeah.
yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
Yeah.
that was amazing. I loved every second of that.
Yeah.
You never got to the deluxe dadder jokes part. So what is
You're
the
right.
deluxe dadder joke?
I don't think the deluxe dad
so the
jokes will live
deluxe
up.
dadder joke piece. So yeah, Chris,
I was
this is why
so
they-
intrigued that I was just like sitting here
Right.
like
Yeah.
listening. I'm like, I'm not going to interrupt them.
Yeah, we started in 1987. I got lost, man. That was it.
Right.
brought
So
me
yeah,
back.
see,
Yeah.
look at that.
Yeah.
So see, this is why you guys get paid the big bucks. See, it's gotta put
We
your
do?
guests back on track. So basically, the deluxe dadder joke is gonna have like a researched essay on the history of the dad joke and the value of what the
Oh,
dad joke
wow.
is on society.
I
So
love
that's
that.
what it is.
So we got a
Okay.
little
Yeah.
snippet of that. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everything
Yeah.
you talked about like lines up. It makes sense. Like that.
Right.
Who knew the dad joke it meant more, to
See,
society?
yeah.
Then it's amazing. I have
Yeah.
no words.
Yeah.
You got to be thinking back all the TV shows, because I'm a huge sitcom fan, especially
Yeah.
90s sitcoms.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking back because like Home Improvement's one of the first ones I ever watched. Like I'm a huge Seinfeld fan, so like I got really into that. That doesn't really fit the dad theme, but and then like we talked about Everyone Loves Raymond earlier. And I was even trying to think of like that 70s show. I don't know if you ever watched that. I know it's more Mike and my generation.
Yeah.
But it fits that theme where like the dad is the stern guy and like funny things happen to him, but he's not funny.
Right. Yep.
And all
Right.
that. Like, yeah, that really got me thinking about all that. So that was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you just for any of your viewers and listeners out there, just check. It's like it was like that around that edge between 86, 87 when you started having hints of allowing dad characters to start doing things. Like even like the movies. Like even in the movies, the dad was always somebody like in like the mid to early 80s and on, like was never goofy.
Right.
Goofy things might have happened to them, but they never were deliberate and being funny around their kids.
Right.
So they might be eccentric or anything like
And
that.
it's
but
funny
was
you bring
never-
that up like in the movies because we can wrap this up in a second, keep everybody back on track. But like shows like Stranger Things, right? You don't see the father of one of the kids' families that much, and it takes place in the 80s, right? But like the scenes that you do see him in, he's being very serious, and when he comments on things, but it's absolutely hilarious how like stern and oblivious he is to us now, right? Like back in the day, that's just how that's how the 80s dads were. But it's like, wow, this guy has no clue what is going on and is the butt of the joke that everybody else knows in the room, but he doesn't know. And it's like, that seems absurd now, right? Like and that all makes sense. Like if you look at the 80s like that, where you look at Stranger Things, dad's like, well, where are the kids? Oh, they're outside playing. It's like they're getting attacked by monsters. You know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah.
just how. Yeah.
Meanwhile, he's inside like reading the newspaper.
Yeah, reading the newspaper. Like, got to catch up with the current events. Like that's your role. But I don't know. That's just like now I'm just gonna like approach those things differently when I see them. Yeah, you make a lot of sense with what you're talking about with the history of it. Wow.
Yeah. See, look at this.
Yeah.
She thought it was just gonna be good, like it'd be like lighthearted
Yeah.
banter, but there's
Yeah.
there's good things here. There's
Yeah.
meat behind this.
Yeah,
See?
there
Look at
really
that.
is.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I
Barney,
need. I need
yeah.
you to make it to 2000 because that
Yeah.
dad joke of the daily calendar.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, make my life a lot better.
I would like a hardcover edition myself, so 2500 would be great, folks, if we could get there. I'm a fan of hardcovers myself. When I share that book around with people, I want it to be sturdy and like, wow, this is a joke book with substance. It's hardcover. Come on, they mean business. So
slap it on your palm. Like, I mean, that's a good thing about a dad. Yeah. See,
there you go.
You can point with books too. A hardcover book is easy to point with.
See, you're thinking about it. Well, I mean, we're gonna have as of today, everybody, when this comes out, you'll have probably it's about a week left.
About a week when this launches.
Yeah, we're almost at 1,000 now. Come on, back it. There's a lot of options there. The variant covers, they're not different prices. They're all the same price. So whichever one you want. Full color. It's a joke book with a lot of heart for sure. A lot of thought that you've heard just now. So I think this is it sounds like it's going to be a hit. I mean, the first one was a hit. Why not? Wouldn't this one be as well? And you can get the first one as well. So for cheaper than Amazon. So
and that's a rarity these days.
Yeah, that is. Barney, thanks so much for being here today. We really appreciate you taking the time. Obviously, you're very passionate about this, and we were just Chris and I were just like completely lost in this interview. It was like we were just watching a podcast ourselves. So, I got to thank you for being here today. And if our listeners and our viewers, followers want to follow you and all the stuff you're doing, do you have a social media or something to direct them to?
Absolutely. So storycomic.com, and I was surprised that that domain wasn't taken like when I made that 5 years ago. I'm like, really?
Wow.
That wasn't taken? So yeah.
Wow.
Storycomic.com. There you'll find all my podcasts are on there. All my all the links to all my books are going to be on there as well.
Great.
All the links. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Blue Sky. I'm on Threads. I'm on Instagram.
Nice.
I'm on all that stuff too. So yeah. And you know what? And check me out too. Got doing really good on Friendster and MySpace, and definitely have a really good Yahoo group going too. So
wow, Yahoo group. Oh, man.
What about your Google Plus account? How's that holding up?
I got my Google Plus account too, and then if you go on Lycos, and you can type it in there, and you'll find Story Comic right there as well.
Great.
So
yeah. So to everybody out there watching, listening, you know the drill. There's links in the show notes down below to the Kickstarter, to Barney's website. So go check it out. We've talked a lot about it, but the book looks like a blast and the jokes are great. So everybody go give it a shot and back it now.
Yeah.
Barney, thank you so much for taking the time today and talking with us. And we look forward to the next time, man.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Chris. Thanks a lot, Mike. I appreciate the time. This has been amazing.
Anytime, man.